Chacon.
Present.
Director Heldman. Director Origi.
Here.
Director Hawkins.
Here.
Director Oscui.
Here.
Director Vasquez.
Present.
Director Camacho Rodriguez. President Apodaca.
Here. Would Director Rodriguez lead us in the invocation, and Director Origi, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, certainly.
I am. So we'll go ahead and take a moment of silence and remember all of the individuals that need to be remembered. And that'll be my invocation. Thank you. We'll go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our flag is bright in color, brilliant in courage, and firm in faith. To these, let us add our sincere pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated.
Public comments and presentations, do we have any?
One quick one, Roman Gonzalez. Roman's been with us 4 years. He's not going to make 5, but we're going to miss you. Okay? Now we have a special presentation, Ms. Lisa Baca.
Good morning. My name is Lisa Bach. I'm the Executive Director of the California Latino Leadership Institute. And I'm here today to present a small gift and a thank you from the Southeast Fellows. We have had a very special relationship with Central Basin. In the summertime, we vet from the 7 core cities of Bell Gardens, Cudahy, Maywood, Huntington Park, including Walnut Park, and Southgate. We anchor in Southgate. This year we also added Bell Gardens, which is new, and we're hoping to add Linwood next year. But we create a team of 16 high school juniors and seniors that our organization invests 6 years if they're seniors, 7 years if they're juniors, all the way to graduation with their bachelor's and their first job. So in the summertime, we placed 2 of them here, and highlights of some of the alumni. We have 2 from last year that made it to the UC Berkeley engineering program, 1 on a full scholarship, and that program for engineering is ranked 3rd in the nation. We've also had other fellows that were placed here in previous years go to other universities pursuing STEM careers. But on behalf of the Southeast Fellows, I just wanted the board to know Leticia Vasquez was very instrumental bringing us here, and it's hands-on. Through a grant from Metropolitan Water and WRD, we do a full 1-day public policy tour that includes getting educated here at Central Basin. MWD does the training, and this year they brought the Oculus, so they had like a virtual tour, and then we do sanitation, and then we stop, and they really start to think about having a future career doing so many different things in the Southeast water community. But GM Hunt has been a true mentor and godfather to them. When they don't have lunch, he's taking them to Carl's Jr.'s because they forget their lunch. Dina Hidalgo this year, we tried something new for workforce preparedness. She actually crafted their first resumes ever, gave them an etiquette class on how for their first job to be on time. If they're in the parking lot 10 minutes before, they're late. So it whipped them into shape, and Kelsey every year does a great tour for us. So it's not really fancy, but it's worthy of your display cabinet. So on behalf of the kids, thank you, thank you, thank you, and we look forward to working with you again this summer.
Lisa, would you mind telling us how many, it's been 3 years or 2 years?
4 years.
Oh my goodness, it's been 4 years.
Yeah, we're going on our 5th year. So we have 53 alumni now, all the way from juniors in high school to juniors in college.
Okay, and how many years has Central Basin participated?
Everyone.
We've already done 4 years, oh my goodness.
Yeah, the only
Time has
difference is
flown by.
we didn't want to lose the program, so MWD stepped up and WRD stepped up because this is truly, I mean, it's not as fancy as the Metropolitan Water Tour that they take you to Hoover Dam, but it's up there.
Yeah,
we get the
absolutely.
top engineers, your top staff, they spend time, they brief the kids, so it really is an executive level briefing, and they're all in high school, so they really get a solid feel.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to make a comment. I think that this is a very important partnership for us in this region. This is an opportunity for us to create the much-needed pipeline for our children to access jobs, in the STEMs. And so Lisa, has been very instrumental in creating the program, and really all we're doing is bringing the kids in and making sure that they are exposed to the professions and career opportunities in the water industry. So we're very happy, that to be a part of what you all have created. And in fact, this has been really a vision by Councilwoman Denise Diaz from the city of Southgate, who was basically the vision behind this whole project. And she's been able to bring in a number of cities together to participate. So I'm just really excited that we're able to do our part. Yeah, thank you, Lisa.
Mr. President, if I might. Yes. Ms. Baca?
Yeah.
If I might, if you would like to add a tour of a groundwater Superfund treatment plant to your curriculum, please let me know, and I'd be more than happy to facilitate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Before we go on, I would like to try to keep more order on this board. And out of respect to this board, I would prefer that everybody wishing to speak would address the chairman first and speak no more than 5 minutes. If they do want to go beyond those 5 minutes, they should let the chairman know, and then I will grant it. But we have so much agenda that it's very difficult to do this agenda. And sometimes we get into further discussions that at this time it isn't necessary. The other part is that I had a casual meeting requested by some of my board members about things that they would like to do or suggest. And I told them, first of all, that how to make friends and influence people is one of the key things. And I learned that when I first started 30 years ago. It's a book by Carnegie, and I think this whole board needs it, because you can't go around having a functional board and having saying things or criticizing, or even criticizing the general manager. That's not very good board business. And I've been around all of you, and I challenge all of you for the old man that I am on this board, that to say that we need to keep looking the way we should. And one of my board members, I suggested, because she was quite concerned, and I personally told her that she's got to be more diplomatic with board members. And I said to her, well, the best thing you can do is to apologize to everyone. And I said, I'll give you the floor for that if you'd like. And for that, I'd like to have Director Vasquez make any comments you want to make any?
Actually, I do have a comment about the agenda and the way that it's organized.
That should go to me directly, though.
Sure, yes, yeah. So can I make I want to make a suggestion about the order of the agenda. I would like to request that we move the closed session items number 17 and 18 to the end of the agenda. Yeah, I think we have a very full agenda, and I'd like to, hold off on it.
Well, I'm you're right, but on the other hand, I just made a point that above 15 items is, if we don't reach about 15 items, we're not going to do them. People have other jobs, have other things to do, and it's not fair. And so with that, let's make sure that we get ahead and get everything as quickly as possible.
Okay. So is there a motion required? So I'll go ahead and make the motion.
If I may, Mr. Chair, it's the chair's prerogative as to which order you take the identified items in the agenda. So if the chair determines that the closed sessions can be moved up, then we can move forward that way.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yes, Mr. Chair, if I may, the items on the closed session are important items. They deal with litigation. Most of the litigation matters are time sensitive, and it requires full participation by all the board members. Now, as we have had in the past, because of the lengthy agenda that we have, some board members may have to excuse themselves and not be participating in the whole proceeding. That's why I think it's important that we keep the order the same, because we want to make sure that all the board members are going through the closed session. That's my suggestion, Mr.
Well, it's my prerogative.
That's correct.
I'll say, let's keep it like it is right now, then we can discuss it.
Okay, so if that's the case, then what I would like to do is that before we go into closed session, that we move the item number 34, which is the Director request for County of LA, Department of Public Works, request for proposals. If we can move item number 34 to item number 17 before we go into closed session, so that we can make sure everyone's here to participate.
Anyone? Any objections? No. Okay, fine.
Okay, thank you.
So,
And Mr. Chairman, if I can make another comment, we all make a commitment to be a part of this board, and I believe that we have to make, just as many of us make adjustments in our work schedule and other professional obligations, I believe that we all have a responsibility, if we make a commitment to be on this board, to be here throughout the entire time, so that we can handle the business of this, the residents of this district.
Every board member, I have been ill for the last 3 or 4 months, as staff can verify, and I'm here to all meetings. And whether you're busy before or after, have a courtesy to tell the district, and we'll see what other arrangements we can make. But I have had other people here miss meetings, and nobody know where they went and how come they're not here. Get us here with that. That's good. Item 4.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, I think you may have skipped item 3.
Oh, I'm sorry, walk-on item? Is there any?
Yes, sir.
No. Tammy,
Okay, hi, good morning.
good morning.
Morning. So,
Ms. Met.
yes, Ms. Met, Mr. Met and Mr. Met. So a couple updates on Metropolitan Water District activities. First off is the Stormwater Capture Pilot Program. So earlier this month, the board approved to fund $5 million to launch a new stormwater capture pilot project. This is in an effort to gain a better understanding of the potential water supply benefits of local stormwater capture projects and the installation of monitoring equipment on existing projects. So Metropolitan is wanting to launch a program such as this so that they can gain a better understanding of stormwater projects. Those are not included in the current IRP or local resources program, so they want to collect the data on projects such as these so that they can assess that data and then also, think to consider to incorporate stormwater projects into their programs in the future. Next is a member agency's water quality manager meeting. Metropolitan continues to work with its member agencies to build an understanding about the effects of the PFAS, the emerging water quality issues that we're all hearing about. They've developed a fact sheet along with a list of frequently asked questions and we have provided this information to our retail agencies. Also, Metropolitan has their water quality managers meeting scheduled for this coming Thursday, September 26th at 9 a.m. at their location in Laverne to discuss chloramine and nitrification treatment. So we've also shared this information with our retail agencies. They have participated in the earlier workshop, and so hopefully they might be interested in attending this one as well. And then lastly, the grand opening of the Regional Recycled Water Facility. Metropolitan is having their grand opening of this facility in Carson, and that is scheduled for Thursday, October 10th at 2 p.m. We've also shared this information with our agencies. If anybody's available, interested to attend, they are requesting RSVP, so they will need to know that you'll be going. That concludes my updates. So.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. Tammy, I understand that there was a meeting that was set up on the request of one of the purveyors, specifically the Pico Water District, with the Metropolitan Water District staff. Would you mind giving us a report on that?
So we were contacted by...
And I think Mr. Hunt can chime in on that. I believe he was a part of that meeting as well.
Yeah, so we were requested by a retail agency to explore any opportunities that might be available to connect to imported water. Some agencies do not have, not all agencies have imported water connection. This one agency in particular does not, so they wanted to talk about the possibilities of that. So we looked at, it was my general manager, Kevin Hunt, Kevin Wadier was there, myself was there. We invited a couple of people from Metropolitan who's in charge of operations. And so they were able to provide information, just general information, because we really can't, give an estimate at this point, but just general information, basically the location, the distance between where their operation is and the nearest metropolitan meter, also sharing of other agencies. Instead of, building a new connection, maybe they can piggyback or expand the usage of an existing agency. And so we just discussed some options, and we'll be following up with them as well as far as providing more information as far as, if they would like to do a site visit, have Metropolitan go out and do, more formal estimates and things of that nature. So
this is the first of many of these type of discussions we expect to have in the next 3 or 4 months.
Excellent. Yeah, I would like to have a full report at our Water Resources Committee regarding this issue, because obviously the PFAS issue is not going away. The Pico Water District specifically has indicated in the past that they don't have a connection to our Met water, which is one of the reasons why they oppose, the meter charge. But if we can facilitate a connection or help them get access to this water, I believe it's very important in light of the fact that they're dealing with this PFAS issue. So thank you for that.
thank you.
I look forward to hearing more about this in the
Okay.
committee.
Great.
Thanks.
All right, thanks.
Oh, can you hold a second? May I have an opportunity to ask a question? Is there any way that I can get, I noticed on this item we have no paper documentation. Would I be able to have the information for the PFAS and the PFOAs if that was discussed?
Yes, absolutely. So we are bringing that information to the Water Resources Committee, which is next week, and we'll attach exhibit that Metropolitan has provided. They provided a fact sheet, it's a double-sided fact sheet with basic information. They've also provided talking points as far as, information that can be shared. But I can provide that to you today as well, so you can have that.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, and I just want to make one more comment because Mr. Wadier really gave a great briefing on this at the purveyors meeting that we had, and he talked about what it would potentially or could potentially cost a Met connection. So if we can just have all of that information in our committee discussion, that would be great.
Sure.
I believe it was he said about $1 million would be the cost of a Met connection.
It ranges. It depends on the location.
2.5.
Kevin,
It
it's a
can
range
go-
depending on the size of the connection and the
Right.
location, anywhere from $1 million to $2.5.
Right.
Right.
And then the
Pretty
other
wide
alternatives
range.
that were discussed would be great to have.
Okay,
Thank you.
sure.
Thank you. item 5. And when we say the consent calendar, does everyone want to go through all of these? Or do they want to make a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman, I do,
Oh, wait, let's hear everybody else say something. Yes, Richard.
No, you know what? I'm on the wrong item. Sorry about that.
What's that? I didn't hear.
I'm on the wrong item. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Anybody else want you to say anything?
I'd like to hear each item, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I think out of full transparency.
Item 5 then, action on minutes. Motion. Second?
Wait, before we move to approve, excuse me, Nancy. As I was scrolling through several of the minutes, there's some errors, and so at some point, I think we need to have a clear dialogue on errors in the minutes.
Excuse me.
Any board member, if you see an error in the minutes, you're free to make a correction, and the board can adopt those minutes as amended, of course, if there are sufficient votes. So if you see, in the future, if you see any problems with the minutes, you can bring them to the attention of the board, or you can even bring them to the attention of staff prior to the meeting.
Well, it would be nice, out of full transparency, that we would have a copy of what we're going to approve in real time, so that we can make the statement, number 16, number 17, there's a date that's wrong, there's a dollar amount that's wrong. So I would appreciate, myself personally, that when we approve minutes moving forward, that we have the actual minutes in front of us so we can make a statement on if there's an error.
Can that be done, or with our short
We
amount of
can do
people?
anything. The minutes are prepared, and they're sent out for the board's review and comment, and if they have any corrections, they send them back in, we're open. But you have it in front of you. We don't give you anything to vote on that you don't have in front of you. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay, so we only have one set of minutes on here, August 16th. Is there a correction on that one?
I would rather, I don't have the ones that I went ahead and edited, that I went through myself right now. These are my clean ones that I have in front of me. So just for future reference. Okay, but I will bring back the ones that where I found errors.
Anytime you have a correction of minutes, please pass it out. We want an accurate.
There was a motion and a second.
Have a motion to second?
I'm sorry, this is a motion for the minutes, to approve the minutes?
Yeah.
And who made the motion and the second?
I made the motion, second,
Director Halpin, okay. Director Chacon?
Excuse me, before we move forward, I believe Director Vasquez had a question.
oh yeah, actually, it's regarding the second one, the warrant runs. So I think, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, point of order. Can the directors pool the items that they wish to discuss? And if there's other items remaining, may we go ahead and approve those and then take those items that each director has pooled? Is that correct, Mr. Counsel?
Generally, in my experience, for the consent calendar, the directors review the consent calendar. They're generally moved as a block, but if the director has an issue with one of the consent items, the director will request that that item be pulled before the consent calendar, or as the consent calendar is addressed. But right now, you have a motion and a second for the minutes only. So the warrants aren't yet before the board. Right now, it's a motion and a second for item, I think it's item 5.
Yes, item number 5.
That's what's before the board right now.
Yes.
Okay. Director Halpin?
yes.
Director Rigi?
Yes.
Director Hawkins?
Yes.
Director Scooey?
Yes.
Director Vasquez?
Yes?
Director Camacho Rodriguez?
Yes.
President Apodaca?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, item 6, financial report.
Mr. Chairman, are we pulling all the items? Is that the wish of the board, is to pull all the
If
items?
someone's moving item 6, that means they're moving item 6A and 6B. So if there's a motion for item 6, that means, and it's seconded, that the demands and the investment report, et cetera, will be before the board.
So item 6A. Does anyone want to make a motion to approve?
I have a question. Check number 22466, the City of Cerritos. It says here, Cerritos Pump Station. Would you tell me a little bit more about that? I see that this is for operations and maintenance for 2017, 2018. Can you tell me why this is like a year, how many years old is this bill? It's a whole fiscal year old. Is there?
Excellent question.
That's typical timing. They always bill a year behind. It's been that way since, I was my first week in here. So it's for the power costs, for operations costs, for capital costs. There's a formula in the contract agreement that we do have with these reserves that breaks down all those costs.
Oh, okay. And what exactly, this is Central Basin's portion? Who
They own the
else
facility.
shares in that, in the cost of maintaining that facility? I mean, I don't know a lot about this, but I'm interested in learning more about how this is done.
The pump station, the Cerritos Pump Station, serves us recycled water supply, and they also serve the city of Cerritos. And so it's based off the amount of water used by the two agencies. So if we take a certain number of acre feet per that particular fiscal year, that's what they base the formula on. And so it's for power costs, for operations of the actual pump station, for capital costs. And we do get billed about a year behind, fiscal year behind.
How long has this relationship existed between the city of Cerritos and
For about 20 to 25 years.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And then the next one is the 22-467, the City of Whittier, annual lease and agreement payment, RHPS, January 2019 through December 2019 for $103,356. Would you mind giving me more information about what that's for?
Yes, Director. We pay the City of Whittier on an annual basis for the actual property that the Rio Hondo Pump Station resides in. And so that's on an annual basis as well.
Okay, but isn't that the property that we just gave to them, or that we deeded back? Is this the WQPP property?
Well, no, it addresses the Rio Hondo Pump Station, and actually in previous years, before WRD was using it for construction staging for their ARC project, we've paid substantially more. So we do get a credit that's applied through a current agreement that's going to be ending December of this year with WRD and the City of Whittier. And so that's essentially what's considered the payment for an entire year for the lease for the pump station, considering the WRD staging credit.
So this is separate from the WQPP project?
Completely separate, yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Got your 5 minutes. Let's go on with anyone who wants to, let's go on with the,
Mr. President,
Mr. President, that wasn't 5 minutes.
oh, yes, it was.
Yeah.
My time it was.
Okay, well, okay, so then I'll just have to,
We can't, you don't.
I'll have to, I have a
I'll meet with
responsibility.
you again privately, we can go through them. How did you like that?
I have a responsibility to.
No, you don't have any responsibility.
Okay, sir.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes.
Council made a good suggestion, and it's typically how it's done. The consent calendar can be moved as a block. Unless there are any questions, let's just pull whatever items that needs to be discussed and then approve the balance, please. Can we do that?
Yes. And I think that's what's apropos with most. Are you okay with it?
yeah, I'd just like to abstain on a couple items, Mr. President, if you don't mind, which is the Rencon Consultants and Nossaman contract for $50,000, then you got another Rencon for,
Those are not on consent though.
It's part of the
and then that's item 22-523 and 22-521 and 22-475.
I'll move that we approve item number 6, and then, as I suggested, Mr. Chairman, we can move the rest of them 7, 8, and 9, unless there are anyone that wants to pull any of them.
I second that. Roll call.
Director Chuckalon?
With the exception of the items that I'm okay with it.
Okay.
If I could interrupt, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, but Director Chacon, you're abstaining from those 3 items that you
Correct.
identified?
Yes.
And the Political Reform Act requires a statement as to the reasons for the abstention. So is it that there is a potential conflict relative to your appointment or an investment that you're...
I'm just looking a little bit further into the situation.
Okay, so this is not an extension for conflict reasons?
No, no.
Okay, thank you. I
Thank
just
you.
wanted to clarify that, because if there is an extension for conflict reasons,
No.
there's a certain protocol that has to be followed. Thank you.
Director Heldman?
Yes.
Director Origi?
Yes.
Director Hawkins?
Yes.
Director Oskouyi?
Yes.
Director Vasquez?
Let the record reflect that if I'm not going to be allowed to ask questions of any agenda items, then I'll just have to vote no. Yeah.
Director Camacho Rodriguez?
Can you clarify what we're voting on right
You
now?
are voting on moving items 6A, B, and 7 through 9. So the remainder of the consent
I believe
calendar.
the motion was item 6, which incorporates 6A and 6B.
Correct.
So the 7, 8, and 9, in my view, are not before the board at this time.
Correct.
No.
My apologies.
So we're voting just on 6, A and B?
Correct.
Okay, so my response is no.
Director Apodaca?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Mr. Chair, I move items 7, 8, and 9.
Second.
Can I make a comment, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
So on B, we didn't even hear the report, but we took a vote. Is that what happened?
Yes.
Okay, so there was a report that needed to be made so that our constituents can hear in full transparency what our financial situation is, and we decided to go ahead and take a vote and not give the report. Because I think we can go backwards, right? Is hear the report and then take the vote?
Yeah, the motion has already been approved. If there's a discussion or if there's a wish to reconsider that,
So my wish is to reconsider it so we
that
can hear.
motion, that can only be brought by the person who originally made the motion.
So just for full transparency and record, we took a vote on our finances without hearing a report for our public. Thank you.
And the next motion is for items 7 through 9. Director Chacon?
Can we hold a second? May I make a comment? So,
Make it short.
so people understand, right now, the action that we're trying to do is to clump items, and so if we're clumping items, then we're not even going to hear the budget performance report July 31 or any information? Is that what we're doing?
Well, the motion that's been made is for all 3 items. If the chair wants to entertain discussion or reports on any of those items, the chair has the authority to do that.
Okay, so then I just want to make a comment that because we are going through litigation and being questioned about a lot of our actions, that in full transparency, that we should probably tend to an item and give the reports.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask the council again to provide a little background on the consent calendar items, what constitutes consent calendar items, and then action items and discussion items, what differentiates, and is what we are doing out of normal?
No, generally consent calendar items are intended to be items that are non-controversial in nature, that tend to be administrative. So for example, the paying of warrants is generally an administrative or ministerial matter that's handled through consent calendar. However, when people have questions about some of the expenditures, that's the time they can make questions, as Director Vasquez did today. But in my experience, consent calendars are moved as a block unless a director has an issue with some of the items in the consent calendar or wants to report on one of the consent calendar items. So right now you have a motion to approve 7, 8, and 9. And if a director wants to hear a report as to one of those items, this would be the proper time to do that. Does that
Yes.
answer your question, Director Stewart? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I too would like to hear item number 7, fiscal year 2020 budget performance report. I would like to have that report by our staff.
In my experience, generally, the chair would accede to that request and have the report given, so that
Fine with that.
Mr. Chair, may we move the balance of the calendar on that motion?
right now you have 7, 8, the motion is 7, 8, 9. When you say the balance of the report, Director Reedy, I assume you mean 8 and 9?
Correct.
Yeah, so I'd have the maker of the motion withdraw the motion and move 8 and 9, then you'd be in compliance with the voting requirements.
we are going to hear the reports, and once we hear the report, hopefully, we can receive that. Thank you.
Great. So, as I mentioned at the committee, this is the month number 1 of our budget performance report. That means we've gone through 1 month of the fiscal year. That's approximately 8% of the total. So if you look at the table on the second page of the memo, you can see in the variance column the percentage of budget. Any items in the revenue that are exceeding 8% are positive, the positive variances. So favorable. So the administrative surcharge, you can see that's at 13%. You can see recycled water sales that are 11%. For the full section in there, the total net revenue, it's at 10%. So as I mentioned at the committee also, this is a month that's very warm and we have very good water demands. So you'd expect it to be above the average for the year. I wish we could have summer demands year-round. So in the net expense section, which is the next, we were a little under that 8% benchmark at 6%. That led us to the net operating margin, which we achieved in this single month, 39% of what we budgeted for the year. That, in essence, concludes my comments, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. On page 21 of your report, under the Central Basin water meter surcharge, the projected, what we projected to receive for the year was the $919,608. And then it says here to date, $78,634. Is that what has been collected from the meter charge?
This is the existing meter charge.
This is based, Director, this is based on the CFS capacity of an existing met meter. It's different from a per meter charge that this suit is about.
Okay. Is there an item, a line item here for the meter charge?
It's called fixed charge.
For fixed charge?
If you go down like 4 or 5 lines, it's entitled fixed charge.
Fixed charge.
$635,000.
So, okay, so we haven't received anything?
Correct.
Okay.
We have not billed anything yet.
Okay. And it says here, for recycled water sales, it's 4.1 million. That's the projected annual. And the 437,919, that's what we have in fact received thus far?
Yes, and just for clarification, the 4.1 million is our budgeted, the annual budgeted amount, and the 437 is the accrual basis revenue. It's the amount that we've delivered. It wouldn't be necessarily the amount we collected, but it's the water we delivered for the month of July.
Oh, excellent. Okay. And when do we receive payment from other purveyors on these?
So for July's recycled water revenue, we bill that on September 10th, around the 10th of the month. So we would probably start receiving that revenue any day.
Okay.
And it's due on October 10th.
Okay. Okay.
Anybody ask any other issues? No, let's go on.
There's a motion, Mr. President. Now is the time to do roll call. You had a motion by Director Oscui, seconded by Director Heldman, to approve items 7, 8, and 9. So now it's appropriate, Council, correct, to take roll call. Director Chacon?
Yes.
Director Heldman?
Yes.
Director Urigi?
Yes.
Director Hawkins?
Yes.
Director Oscui?
Yes.
Director Vasquez?
Yes.
Director Camacho Rodriguez? Yes. President Apodaca?
Yes. Right.
Item 10, Director. Item 10 is the approval of the contract with Ovalis, Madruga, Lemieux and O'Neill LLP for a term of 5 months for interim general counsel services. As you're familiar, we did a procurement process. It was advertised at district website, Special District Association, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. The RFP was also emailed to the chambers. It was posted for 7 weeks in addition to the normal time. We received 6 proposals. The board interviewed and ultimately all of the firms, and other than the one who recused himself, which was Atkinson. And at the conclusion, the board selected the firm of Olivares, Madruga, Lemieux, and O'Neill. The monthly retainer is $18,000 a month for 5 months. In addition, there are items like litigation support and others which are clearly defined as outside of that. We budgeted an additional $30,000 for that, or $2,500 for 5 months, or about $4,000 per month for 5 months. So we have a total budget of $120,000 for the next 5 months, which comes out to $24,000 a month. And that would be the contract for Lemieux and O'Neill. As you recall, the board agreed in January to review the performance and determine whether they needed to go out for RFPs or continue the services.
Director Hawkins, do you have any comments?
No comments.
Director Chacon, do you have any comments?
I don't have any comments, but I'd like to make the motion that we go forward with it.
Well, I want to hear everybody.
Okay.
Mr.
Yes, I have questions with respect to the process for the search. The California Special Districts Association, I do receive that pamphlet every month, which is when they put it out. I believe it's every month.
The pamphlet, but also have a newsletter, goes out every week.
Okay, yeah, so can you give me a copy of where they posted
Sure.
the description? And then also it says here, and just for your edification, if we're not paying dues to the Chambers of Commerce, they're not going to respond to our request to forward any requests for proposals. So I see here that you mentioned that it was sent to the Chambers of
Yes.
Commerce. Well, they're not going to forward anything if we're not members, so just for
That's not what
future.
they said to us, ma'am, but okay, that's their general policy.
Yeah, who's they, who exactly
I'll
did you
get you,
speak to?
I don't know the list exactly, but I thought when we
Okay.
talked to them, when we sent it out, they were fine, we'd post it for you.
Okay, because I spoke to various chambers of commerce in my area
Yeah.
and asked them if they received an email, and they indicated that they hadn't received an email with the request, and if they had, that in fact they wouldn't forward them to their list because we're not updated on our membership dues. So I would like to know from you, since you indicate that you did speak to someone.
No, I didn't speak to, said the staff did, but we'll get
I
you the
would like
name
to
of who
get-
we spoke to and how
and-
we sent it out and all of that.
Yes, please,
Great.
yeah, because there seems to be a miscommunication when it comes to this, and I want to make sure that we're getting accurate information.
Any other questions?
Thank you. And then one more, it says that Mr. Joseph Vanderhorst, who was a prior Assistant General Counsel for Metropolitan Water District, was also part of the interview process?
Yes.
Yeah. Who solicited his participation in this process?
I did. I asked Metropolitan to recommend somebody on their current or retired staff, that's who they recommended.
Okay. Thank you.
Any questions?
So if I'm looking on Exhibit B, I do want to move forward. We're approving a draft.
No.
Well, I was going to speak to that. But I'll wait for the chair to.
So if we're going to take a vote, the draft, I have an issue with approving something that's not completed.
Yeah, if I may, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
As you can see, what's before you is a draft contract, which, in our experience, we bring a draft to the board, and if we get consensus for approval on the board, they will put that into final form for execution. And there are 2 comments I wanted to make to this draft. As you can see, the start date is left blank. We engaged with General Manager Hunt last Monday to get familiar with the district issues. We've had several meetings since then with staff. So we proposed a start date of September 16th, if that would be okay with the board. And also, when you go back into paragraph 1, you'll see that there's some language in there that names me as the primary contact as general counsel, but I'd also like to amend that in the last sentence to state that because of my calendar and I may not be available for certain things, so I want to name one of our other owner partners as someone who could also respond to district inquiries or guide district business as relative to Central Basin. And so I'd like to add that on that last sentence that It says, "Other meetings as requested, and all general counsel services to provide under this agreement shall be performed by Stephen O'Neill and my partner Rick Olivares under their direction and control unless otherwise agreed with the district." So in that way, we'd have two owner partners responsible to the district, because currently I'm general counsel for 3 other municipal water districts. I'm counsel for the Delta Conveyance Finance Authority in Sacramento. My availability can be limited sometimes. We make every effort to get back within 2 hours if we have an inquiry, but this will give us a little more, and the district, a little more support and representation. So those are the 2 edits I'd like to suggest to the board, and if they're acceptable, we'll put this into final agreement.
Anyone have a problem with that?
No.
I do have a comment. I would really like to move away from the practice of approving draft contracts in light of what I've seen, things changing without the consent of the board, contracts and so forth. I'm interested in reviewing contracts in their final form before giving authority for them to be executed. So I am willing to support this motion, but moving forward, I would like contracts to come to our board in their final form.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, a couple questions. Mr. O'Neill, you are going to continue to be present at the meetings, right?
Correct.
So that's just for support.
Yeah, it's
And the format that you suggested, was it also the same as was proposed in your proposal? The staff that you recommended?
I think I had myself and my partner Manuel Serpa.
Right.
But Mr. Olivares is an equity partner, one of the owners. Has more seniority than Mr. Serpa. We thought that would be the appropriate person to offer support.
And familiarity with Waterworld?
Yes, yeah, and certainly a lot of familiarity with this district. He's represented this district before. And great familiarity with the Brown Act and all the public law issues that are attendant to an agency such as this.
And as far as just a point of clarification, as far as the agreements and contracts, even in the draft form, when there are changes that are being made or additions to be proposed, they become a part of the record. Just like the fact that we're discussing that, they become a part of the record.
Correct. This would be, you'd be approving this draft as amended per my statements about the start date and the backup individual. Thank you.
May I make a comment or ask a question?
Yes.
Does he represent any of the cities that are suing us? For full transparency, at least for... I personally...
We are, not him, but we are counsel to, for personnel reasons, to the City of Commerce. I believe might be one of the 22 cities named in the writ. We're city attorneys for the City of Bell Gardens. I'm not sure if they are named in that, but we plan to have discuss these matters in the closed session today. Because we may be conflicted, I don't know. I'd have to talk to those agencies. We just got the writ last Thursday, I believe.
Mr. O'Neill, can you do me a favor of getting a list of any of these for the, I know, because I've been here the longest, where everybody's at, so just for general information for the directors, so we can have this for the record.
And then just to finish my comment, out of full transparency, when we make the motion to accept this in draft form pending its completion, I'd like that wording to be clearly stated, that it is in draft form, we're accepting it with the condition that it be brought back, maybe for us to look at it in another open public session.
After execution, or?
Well, right now, as our constituents are looking at this, it's in draft form and it's blank. So out of full transparency and for us to be clear with our constituents, I think it would be in an abundance of caution for everything that's going on, that we should bring it back just so that people can see it again, what was the final filling in the blanks.
Director, Mr. Rodriguez, if the contract is approved, as modified today, would it be okay if we just reported back it was executed exactly as was modified today?
Right, but modified as in showing it publicly.
Yeah, we'll include it in the packet and just say as an information item, executed as modified today with the 2 changes that were made today.
Right. And then just to close with my comments is that as we are being brutally scrutinized on all of our actions, I would also like to add that we not bring things to the table in draft form in any way, and that when we give oral reports, that we start giving actual paper to back up what is being reported. And that's just an abundance of caution. So I'm going to take our advice, because I think we have wonderful people working for us that have been watching our backs for us, and just moving forward with an abundance of caution that whatever we say, we back it up with paper. That's it. Thank you.
Director Hillman, any comments?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay, we've heard them all. We have a motion. I make the motion to approve. Do you have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Director Checolin?
Yes.
Director Heldman?
Yes?
Director Urigi?
Yes.
Director Hawkins?
Yes.
Director Oscui? Director Vasquez?
Yes?
Director Camacho Rodriguez?
Yes.
President Apodaca?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 11?
Mr. President?
Yes.
This item that we're talking about earlier.
I'll be right back.
Item 11 is the contractor. Yes, item 11 concerns a contract with Liberty Utilities. I've met with Director Heldman prior to the meeting, because my understanding he performs work for Liberty Utilities. And I think this has come before the board before, is my understanding, that because of the unique nature of the board, with purveyors on the board as well, the Political Reform Act addresses or sets forth a procedure that has to be followed if there is potential for a conflict of interest. My understanding is that Director Heldman is an employee or has an employment relationship with Liberty Utilities, and under Government Code 87105, that's a business position that could pose a potential conflict of interest. So to ensure that the district can conduct its business with such situations, I recommend Director Heldman recuse himself because of that potential conflict of interest. Did I say refuse? I meant recuse. So Director Heldman, I would request, would leave the dais for the vote on this, and then once this is voted on, he can go back.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So noted.
Good morning, directors. As Mr. O'Neill just mentioned, this item has been brought to the board in prior meetings. As far as the most up-to-date information that I'm providing this month, at the request at the committee meeting that was held earlier in the month on September 3rd, the committee members requested that we provide information on the history of the allocation that had been provided to Liberty with prior partnerships, as well as how the 2 different programs are administered. So you'll see on page 2 that information that's provided. So to date, as far as the allocation that is currently provided to Central Basin by Metropolitan in the amount of $748,000, we have invoiced $14,480. In partnership history, the allocation, and this is request only, this is not invoiced. You'll see the fiscal year broke it down as early as 2012 and to the most current, which is pending for 2019-20. As far as the question that came up of how the money moves between Metropolitan, Central Basin, and Liberty, there's 2 bullet points there to describe both. I'll go through them right now. Metropolitan SoCal Water Smart Rebate Program. This is also known as supplemental funding for the retail agencies that like to partner. Metropolitan pays the full rebate amount to the resident that qualifies for, including supplemental funding. Liberty makes available for their customers. The additional supplemental funding will be charged to Central Basin's monthly water bill, and Central Basin will be responsible to invoice Liberty to recover that expense. For the member agency local project program, Liberty must first perform the installations of the high-efficiency toilets. Liberty provides Central Basin with a database of completed installations. Central Basin prepares the invoice to send to Metropolitan. Metropolitan reviews, approves Liberty database. Metropolitan will give Central Basin a credit on the monthly water bill. And the final step would be that Central Basin would process the credit and send a rebate check to Liberty for the approved toilet installation. The Metropolitan partnerships are at no cost to the district, and that is noted in fiscal impacts. As far as the recommended motion, I do have an edit, and that would be to, instead of, if it approved today, we would have this effective July 1st rather than October 1st. Also at committee, the members invited Sarah Ray, who is the conservation coordinator. She's who I work with, colleague, and had invited her to come here today to provide information on Liberty's programs, conservation programs. She was unable to attend the meeting because today they're doing a water loss study at Liberty, and so she has provided this morning through email a handout which Cecilia will provide to each of you at this time. What this handout details is what their conservation program looks like. Liberty Utilities does a Toilet Direct program, again at no cost, and it's funded by Liberty. The Toilet Direct installation program, there's no cost to the customer, and it's funded by Liberty. The Water Use Survey program, and you'll see some more detail. I'm just kind of looking at the highlights here. And that's at no cost, funded by Liberty. The SoCal Water Smart rebate program, so that's funding, as I mentioned prior. The device outline shows what their supplemental funding, so that's what they add on top of Metropolitan's base rate. And then they also have a school incentive program, a SoCal Gas Partnership program, and a device distribution program. Are there any questions on this item?
For a matter of time, I'd like to start with Director Rodriguez. Do you have any questions?
I'm really disappointed that they weren't able to come because I had a list of questions.
I can try to answer any of them.
No, I wanted to ask Liberty.
Oh, you want to ask them? Okay.
Yeah, you did such a wonderful job presenting these, and you gave me all these reports already, so I have from our end. Thank you.
Okay.
Dr. Scuti.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. So this is a good program,
It is a good program.
and it's a pass-through cost,
That's correct.
and it's reimbursable.
That's correct.
Thank you. No question.
Director.
Yes, I too have a number of questions of Liberty folks, and I would like to defer action on this item until we can get some representative here to respond to inquiries that directors have. Thank you.
Dr. Rigi?
Yes, I have one comment on the PowerPoint where it has the 250 plus the 140 cost to customer. It's not a cost to the customer, it's a rebate to the customer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Director Cohen?
I agree with Director Vasquez. I'd like to have somebody here to maybe ask a couple more questions, maybe pull the item to another meeting.
Director Hawkins?
Good.
No comments.
So go ahead and make a motion to defer action on this item.
Substitute motion to move the item, to approve it.
Roll call.
Director Checoin?
No.
Director Heldman? Director Origi?
Yes.
Director Hawkins?
No.
Director Oscui?
Yes.
Director Vasquez?
No?
Director Camacho Rodriguez?
No.
President Apodaca?
Yes.
Motion does not pass.
The original motion.
There wasn't a second.
I'll second that other motion if it's still on the floor. To move it to another day.
Is that appropriate, council? So originally we had
That was the first motion.
the first motion, Director Vasquez had made a motion to defer action, and then we had a substitute. There wasn't a second to Director Vasquez's motion?
Correct, so that motion failed for lack of a second.
Correct.
And there was a motion made to approve the
Approve,
item, and
that
that
was the
motion
substitute.
failed.
Correct.
And so, but given the comments, I would assume staff would bring this back for consideration with Liberty present.
Well, absolutely. It's just,
Yeah.
and again, really when this is hurting, it's not Liberty, it's the citizens in that area, just so you understand. Every month that goes by, citizens are paying too much for their toilets and stuff.
But what I want to address, Director Camacho, your issue, you want to get this back on the agenda.
Right.
Your admin code allows you to do that. You don't need to make a motion to do that here. You can do it under director's comments for your admin code, or you can call the general manager and request it be on the agenda, or email the general manager and request it be on the agenda. The admin code allows for that.
Thank you.
So this will be on the agenda.
Go ahead, item 12.
Mr. Chairman, I have a conflict with item 12. I need to recuse myself. San Gabriel is the purveyor that would purvey that recyclable water, so I have a conflict with the item.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Reedy. That statement comports with the requirements of the...
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman? I do have a question. With respect to the issue of the conflict, we obviously have recurring issues because we have members on this board that have a conflict of interest because they're either employed by the water agency that they represent or have personal financial ownership in these companies. And so what I'd like to see done is that we get an opinion from the Attorney General about, whether or not these directors can actually sit on this board, given that there are so many conflicts. So I would like to have that issue on the agenda for our next board meeting for discussion.
Mr. Wright, you have been involved with Sacramento in reference to this issue many times. Is it?
We would have to research and see whether the Assemblywoman got a opinion from the legislative analyst, I believe she did, not the Attorney General. She had a opinion from the legislative analyst when the bill was put forward. I believe we have, Joseph, do we have that?
No, but I'll follow up with you in the response.
Yeah.
Can we have someone from her office here to address that?
Yeah, we can bring them, we can agendize this for discussion. We'll have someone from the Assemblywoman's office here.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, directors. The most recent activity for the Montebello Hills project has been related to working on an agreement with Sentinel Peak Resources California that addresses design and construction of the supply pipeline, environmental requirements for the pipeline, and construction of the pump station, all facilities being related to recycled water. The newest version recently changed due to Sentinel Peak's agreement to construct and now pay for the recycled water pipeline is attached to this item as Exhibit B for your review. And some of the main terms attached to the agreement to note for you today are that the district completed the CEQA compliance documents for the recycled water line and for construction of the pump station only, and that we will not do compliance for the land take used for the facilities. Sentinel Peak and Toll Brothers agreed to initiate and diligently pursue to completion the construction of number one, the recycled water line, which has estimated costs between $650,000 and $700,000. Two, the on-site recycled water pump station, estimated cost is between $750,000 and $1 million. And lastly, the on-site recycled water distribution system at their expense. That's about 7,500 linear feet of pipeline on site. They have also agreed to follow our CEQA compliance requirements for the supply pipeline and pump station that are exhibits to the attached agreement as well. And the district will cover costs for construction inspections. Also, that the district agrees to provide a minimum of 240 acre-feet per year of recycled water, subject to having adequate supplies available. Also, that the district will temporarily provide an additional 206 acre-feet per year of recycled water, again, as long as we have those supplies. And this temporary 206 acre-feet will taper off as other sites with previous approvals are connected. And that the pump station and pipelines and associated infrastructure, along with the associated easements, to be transferred over to the district upon approval of construction of those facilities. So that's transferring of ownership. The breakdown of estimates of costs for both sides has been updated, considering the newly proposed terms under the fiscal impact section on your memo. And payback for this project is estimated to be within 2 years, only considering the 240 acre-feet, which is the permanent irrigation, and within the first year, considering the additional temporary supply. And so staff are here today to recommend the attached agreement for approval as substantially complete in form, with the condition that insurance and bonding acquired by Sentinel Peak and Toll Brothers are acceptable to the district. And I will take any
We
questions.
have one speaker card here. We'll do that for Mr. Kim,
Okay.
if he wishes to speak.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chairman, and ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Peter Kim with Toll Brothers as an agent of Sentinel Peak, representing the Montebello Hills development, and also for the future, residents moving forward, continue on with this project. Thank you, Jackie. Everything she said, basically, she's taken everything that I was going to say, she's already said. And so, I just wanted to say that the recycled water system would be a great benefit to the environment, to moving forward with this project. It would also be a benefit to the district and also be a benefit for the future homeowners of this project to have recycled water available. We have listened to the public comments in previous hearings and listened to the director comments, and at the request of the district, we have agreed to 100% fund the extension of the water line up to our project. It's about half a mile of pipeline, 16-inch pipeline that will be extended, as well as the pump station and our internal distribution system for recycled water. I do have a follow-up answer for Director Chacon. From the previous hearing, you've asked the consultant's name for our EIR documentation for the project itself. The current name is AECOM, AECOM. They were the consultant that prepared the EIR document for the Montebello Hills project. They were formerly known as P&D Consultants, and this was approved back in 2014. I'm here basically hopeful that this will be a win for all the parties at hand to approve this project moving forward and to provide recycled water for the future 1,200 units of development. I'm here for any questions you may have.
I have a question. Let me start on this side with Director Hillman, and we'll all get a chance to ask questions.
No questions for me? Thank you.
Excuse me. I have a question. So on this site, obviously, we're going to have someone else that's going to set up a meter. Can you tell us who's setting up the water meters?
As I understand it, that will be San Gabriel Water Company.
And we have a contract with them for the water? It's on paper?
Yeah.
Is it in this stack of
We have a
exhibits?
contract with,
We don't.
we don't have contracts with our retailers.
We don't have them. For recycled water, we
For recycled water, we don't have contracts.
But they're setting up the meters with no contract? Okay, so that's my first question. My second question on the draft, in an abundance of caution, I really don't believe that we should be voting on drafts. Just in full transparency for our constituents who are watching us and the purveyors that are watching our every action, and I appreciate all their comments. And a few of the comments that they have made in unison are about the stupid acts that we do. And I would like to say that moving forward, we're watching what is being stated, and they would be very just in saying that to approve a draft would be a stupid move. So I need to apologize for my language, but I am quoting the people that are watching us and that sit on our board. And we're going to sit here and look at a draft that has blanks. I don't want to vote for blanks. And I don't want, in hindsight, to look at this moment that could be a very good thing for everyone regarding water, and that we voted on blanks. I'm not voting for blanks. And I think that in an abundance of caution, when we place exhibits into our packets to be in front of us to make a vote, that we should not have drafts at all. I don't know if there's legal wording for that, but we need to be attentive to that.
Director Reedy.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Can we answer Director Camacho Rodriguez? The blanks that are under it is what the dates?
Kevin, can you speak up a little louder?
I'm sorry, my microphone was to the side.
I had a question.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman. The only blank that I noticed on the Exhibit B is the start date, right? Is the yeah, and that really has to do with the action that is taken by the board, because this item has been before us many times, if I'm not mistaken. So the date that the board takes an action on the item, ratifies it, then that becomes the starting date for this agreement. That's the only blank. Okay. Thank you.
Director Vasquez?
Let me see. Did our general counsel have an opportunity to review this contract?
Yes, we did.
You did? Okay. There are a couple of points in there that I have some concerns about, including the issue, and I know that our staff said, with the exception of the bond, it says here, the bonding section of the contract.
Can you give the page?
Yeah, let me see. But you can get some, Section 3, yeah. So Section 2, Section 3, here it goes. So it says here, waiver of fees and bonds. District agrees to waive any fees such as permit processing, inspection, and other fees for the Central Basin facilities, including plan check. I understand that might be something that we're interested in doing, but I'm concerned about waiving the bond requirement around this issue. So that's a concern of mine. I would like to defer action on this item until we can get the final version of this agreement before the board.
I'll
Director
second that if
Chacon?
it's a motion.
Director Chacon? Any comments?
I was ready to make a decision, but you know what? Right now, my colleagues have brought up some good points, so
No comment?
not right now.
Director Hawkins?
No, not at this time.
So I'll go ahead and make a motion to defer action on
Right
this.
now, you didn't address me. You're out of order. Where are we at now? Everybody's getting there.
Well, yeah, this would be the time for a director to make a motion.
I'll move to approve, but before we do that, Council, is there anything unusual about the waiver of fees and bonds, Section 3? And would you please explain what type of bonds are we talking about?
Sure. Generally, with these types of public works projects, if an agency has the ability to levy fees, oftentimes they'll waive those fees to allow the project to move forward. And I've seen a lot in the recycled water world where everybody wants to promote the use of recycled water, so a lot of concessions, perhaps we call them, are made to make sure the project gets built, recycled water gets delivered. My understanding of this agreement is that the developer is going to build the project to the district specifications. The district is going to have an inspector on site, and once it's completed to the district's satisfaction, the district will assume ownership of the facility. And the bonds that were listed here are several different types. There's what's called a payment bond, and that is usually a bond that is put up by a developer or a contractor to make sure that his or her subs are paid. In this case, the developer is doing the whole project, and so we don't see a need for those types of bonds.
But the district is not involved in a contractual relationship with a contractor.
Right. If the district was, then we'd be asking for payment bonds. The materials and warranty bonds, those have to do with the type of pipeline that is delivered. Those are usually, those warranties are provided by the pipeline supplier. Generally, for the installation, I've always seen a year warranty for the project, for the materials that are installed, and for the project itself, it's generally a year warranty. That seems to be the industry standard. And the other types of security that you usually see in a project like this are really, I don't think, are warranted here, because you have the developer taking on all the construction responsibilities. And it's not a situation where the district has gone out and hired Perkins or one of the construction companies to construct a project for us. This is being done by the developer who owns all those applications. And then once it's done, and clearly we have the right to inspect, and it's clearly being done to our specifications. Once it's completed, it's turned over to us. So I think that the usual risk you'll see with a project where the district is the owner don't exist with this situation because you have it being constructed by another party, in that case the developer. Does that answer your question? Yes.
If I may speak on this issue. As the attorney has commented, the regular performance, labor and materials, those kind of bonds are, as we also as developers saw it, as unnecessary since the district is not constructing this system. But I can see the point in terms of a warranty bond being necessary. And so we are in agreement to putting up a 1-year warranty bond as the industry standard if we can get this thing to vote on today. Because the city is not giving us much of a time frame to go do this project. And if it fails today, basically they have told us that they're going to force us to move on without a recycled water system. So I would like to get this thing resolved in today's hearing, if at all possible. Otherwise, this project may never happen.
Mr. Chairman, with what we have heard from our colleagues, there are two issues that were brought up with regards to this agreement before us, and we have seen this I don't know how many times now. I think this is the third time, perhaps. Two issues were brought up. A blank date, and that's not unusual because the commencement date of an agreement is typically the date of when the board takes action. And then there were questions raised with regards to Section 3 bonds, and we just heard from the council, we heard from the developer Toll Brothers. Typically, bonds are required when there's an exposure. The district doesn't have any exposure in this case because we are not doing the construction. Construction is being done by Toll Brothers directly. They're absorbing all the risks with their contractors. We basically are telling them what to build, they inspect it, and if it's built according to the specifications that Jackie has probably provided, then we accept the project as complete, and that's done. And now with this added layer of protection for the district, meaning that their willingness to put a warranty bond, there's absolutely no exposure for this district for a public works project that is for the benefit and good of the people and fulfilling the mission of this district, which is expanding its recycle service. With that, Mr. Chairman, I want to move the item for approval, please.
Second.
Mr. Chairman, I do have a couple more questions with respect to the contract that I believe are very important for us to address. In section number 7, where it says, following the district's acceptance of the Central Basin facilities, the district agrees to supply to the water purveyor who services the area's subdivision property. Who is that water purveyor?
St. Gabriel Valley Water.
Is there a reason why that is not laid out in this contract?
No, simply that's the way we put it.
So it's San Gabriel Valley Water Company? Okay. So I believe that needs to be included in this contract, that we lay out.
I believe that San Gabriel Valley Water Company is called out in another section. I'll look for it really quickly and see if I can find it.
Yeah, would you? Because I've read this contract in its entirety and I didn't see who the purveyor identified is. And then also, it says here that the Central Basin is, there were two costs. I think one is for the pump station at no more than $1 million. Is that what that is? Yeah, and then the other one is for the pipeline that the developer will pay no more than $700,000. So, who are we getting these estimates from? Because according to this contract, this board, by voting on this contract, this board would commit to paying any additional expenditures, including change orders, if they arise from the pipeline project, if this project exceeds the $700,000 mark.
That is not correct.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I can suggest,
No, I'm going to say exactly what Mr. Kim, the exact thing, that's not correct. It does not, it caps his cost, but doesn't obligate us to do it. It puts us in a, and you might cover it from there, Peter, with
The cap is based on the design, and actually there is a proposal from a contractor, the city's contractor, that is already less than the $700,000. It's approximately, I believe, somewhere around under $650,000 for this construction cost. There's nothing in the agreement that obligates the district to pay any overages. It was, that dollar amount was set so that the design process wouldn't exceed to $1 million and $1.5 million. It was basically intended as a cost control measure that the design suddenly wouldn't change in the process of construction. But the design is already approved. It's already been, have a proposal for the contractor that will do the work. Upon this approval, we're ready to sign the contract with them. We've already have a contract drafted with the contractor to move forward. Any change orders or if whatever occurrences happen, there's language in there for mitigating situations and other mitigation requirements that would all be at the developer's cost. And so there is nothing that would come back to the district for any overages. That would still be our cost.
Would you refer to where that verbiage is in the contract? Because as I review the contract, that just is a big concern for me, that it's laid out that Central Basin has zero financial obligations if that cost exceeds the $700,000 or the million.
There's nothing in the agreement that obligates the district for any funds.
That's not what I read in the contract. Let's make it crystal clear. I would like us to amend the contract so that it's crystal clear. And again, bring it back for consideration.
Where's section 13?
On page 121, section 13, indemnification starts off with subject to section 50 below, the district shall bear no financial liability.
Would you read that first couple of sentences?
Subject to section 15 below, district shall bear no financial liability for any portion of the design and construction of the recycled water line and or the design construction of the pump station and the distribution system. And then, but again, we have to look at what it says on 15. And 15 is for termination. And I believe the only liability we have is if we terminate the project for some reason.
That's correct.
So there is no exposure then?
There's no exposure. The only exposure is, like the general manager has said, and that's for our protection, that we're in the middle of constructing the pipeline. We've spent hundreds of millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars to build it, and in the middle, the water district decides to cancel the contract and doesn't want to move forward and doesn't want to provide recycled water to the project, then that's when there's exposure for the district to pay us back for what we've spent.
Which is basically reneging a contract.
That's correct.
Mr. Chairman, I had made a motion and there was a second. I seconded. And I just wanted to mention that the questions that was raised by my colleagues, they were all answered, and in my estimation, they were answered clearly and in a very transparent manner. The information is provided that addresses all the concerns. There is no reason to delay this action today.
Roll call.
Well, that's not entirely the case because, again, the contract says
Decide it's a roll call.
the builder is not obligated to
Roll call.
design or construct the Central Basin facilities. So again,
It's roll call. Let's go.
Director Chacon?
I have a concern with this. Is it a normal process for us to pay for somebody to do the EIR?
Yes, that is the normal process because the district, this is a benefit for the district as a new project that would be providing revenues for the district, and this is under the scope. Originally, this was supposed to be a capital improvement project. The normal process would be that the pipeline extension and the pump station would be a district cost. That is the normal process. And the EIR would have been done by the district, and the pump station and the extension of the water line would be coming to the project. The normal process is any development would only be responsible for providing a recycled water system for the development to the boundary of the project, not going down half a mile to go get it. that is not the normal process. So in this instance, there is a great benefit to the district. The district, having done the EIR, they are actually getting a $1.7 million system for free. So that is a great benefit to the district that you typically won't see in a project like this.
Okay. Did you guys have anything to do with us choosing Rencon?
No, we don't even know Rencon. We've never used them before.
Okay, because I keep seeing their bills grow and grow. So that's just, it worries me.
I believe Director, I believe they're significantly under budget. Do you have the total, Jackie?
For Rincon, I don't, but we're at around 60,000.
And the contract is for 70?
74 and some change.
So they're under budget.
We are under budget.
Okay.
Roll call and
Director Hawkins? No, I kind of like the project, so that's why I'm kind of going along with it where I like anything for free. And it seems like that's what we're getting here is a free line and a free pump station, so.
Future revenues.
Excuse me.
What's that?
Future revenues.
Future revenue, yes.
Sure, I think we're in the middle of a roll call.
Yes, we are.
So I want to make sure
Go ahead.
that
Director
votes are
Checkle?
being recorded.
You know what, I'm gonna have to vote no on today's project unless we can satisfy my other directors on any questions they had, and I'm gonna have to vote no on this today.
Director Heldman,
Yes.
Director Origi, Director Hawkins,
Yes.
Director Oscui,
Yes.
Director Vasquez,
No?
Director Camacho Rodriguez,
No.
President Apodaca.
Yes.
Motion does not pass.
Well, that's the district, $1 million. Director, what? I don't get it. Directors, you do realize this is it. This is the last time you'll see this project. They'll not go ahead with potable water on this. It'll hurt us by the tune of $1 million in the next 4 years, and it'll mean the citizens there will not get recycled water.
Kevin, I'd like to...
But they can get potable
May I
water.
make a comment?
We're going to vote one at a time.
May I make a comment?
No, she's speaking first.
No, go ahead.
So in just discussions that we've had, it's really just a paper issue for me. So my no was, I don't know the contracts or have the contracts for other people involved in this. And when I made mention of who is the water purveyor, we know it's one of our colleagues. And so it would have been nice to have a report from their agency on how we're doing this co-working of this project. So in full transparency, I think our constituents have the right to know that we are having one of our purveyors lay down meters, and they're going to be gaining a lot from laying down meters.
Oh, they are. And matter of fact, this is an unusual thing in the sense that we manage the distribution system. All they do is read the meters. But again, that was explained very clearly months ago in the workshops we had on this project. You know, we don't go through it every time in copious detail, but we've gone through this from the initial concept 2 years ago all the way through. That's been the intent. That they are we can't change it. They are the distribution, the retail agency for there. We're not a retail agency. The meters would therefore be theirs. And so they would read the meters and bill the citizens and the developer. It's their service area, not ours. We're a wholesaler, not a retailer. But there's nothing unusual about it. It's just the way it is.
Gotta go to item 12.
13.
Okay, damage is incredible.
13.
13.
Alrighty. Morning again. So this item, with respect to the Gateway Water Management Authority, it is now time to reappoint one primary member and up to 3 alternate members to represent Central Basin on the board. This item was reviewed by the Water Resources and Governmental Affairs Committee and is being brought to you today for consideration of reappointing myself, Tammy Hurley High, as a member, along with Sandy Linares Plimpton and Director Martha Camacho Rodriguez as alternate members. So the recommended motion before you today is that the board approves, adopts, and authorizes the president to sign resolution number 0919-990, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Central Basin Municipal Water District appointing a member and alternate to the Los Angeles Gateway Region Integrated Regional Water Management Joint Powers Authority. That's the recommended motion.
Any motions here for approval? So moved.
Second.
Director Checawan?
Yes.
Director Heldman?
Yes.
Director Urigi?
Yes.
Director Hawkins?
Yes.
Director Escudi?
Yes.
Director Vasquez?
Yes?
Director Camacho Rodriguez?
Yes.
President Apodaca?
No.
Motion passes.
Thank you. So with respect to item number 14, Association of California Water Agencies Region 8 Board Election. Central Basin Water District is part of Association of California Water Agencies Region 8, which includes Ventura and Los Angeles counties. And the Aqua Region 8 Board is comprised of a chair, vice chair, and up to 5 additional board member positions for a 2-year term beginning January 2020. The ballot form is attached as Exhibit A, which indicates 2 voting options. Is 1, to vote for the slate recommended by the Region 8 Nominating Committee, or 2, vote for individual region board members. And this item was reviewed by the Water Resources and Governmental Affairs Committee. The committee recommended option 1, to vote for the slate recommended by the Aqua Region 8 Nominating Committee. So the recommended motion before you today is that the board vote for Aqua Region 8 board members and direct staff to submit the ballot for the 2020-21 term by selecting option 1 to concur with the Region 8 Nominating Committee's recommended slate.
So moved.
Second.
Director Checawan?
Yes.
Director Heldman?
Yes.
Director Urigi?
Yes.
Director Hawkins?
Yes.
Director Escudi?
Yes.
Director Vasquez?
Yes?
Director Camacho Rodriguez?
Yes.
President Apodaca?
Thank you.
Good morning, directors. The district provides 2 voluntary 457B plans to employees. The 2 plans offered are through one Voya and 2 nationwide. The Voya plan is through the CalPERS pension system. And the 457B plans allow for participants to defer wages toward retirement savings. Contributions to the 457B plan are fully funded by participants. There is no cost to the district other than a couple of staff hours to administer the plan. The slide before you shows the current offerings of both plans. Both plans offer participants to defer pre-tax wages, thus lowering taxable income every year. Currently, the nationwide 457B plan is the only plan with the Roth option. A Roth allows for contributions to be taxed at the time deferrals are made, allowing investment earnings to grow tax-free. Once those funds are distributed, they are also provided to the participant tax-free. The Roth option under Voya became available earlier this year, and staff has requested to participate in the Roth Voya plan. In order to offer the Roth option, staff is requesting board approval to include a Roth option for Voya by amending the plan documents. Additionally, staff has also requested to have 2 active loans at the same time. Currently, both plans only offer 1 active loan at any time. Nationwide offers the option of adding an additional loan. And in order to make that change, we would also require approval by the board to amend the plan documents. Exhibits A and B are the forms that will be submitted to the carriers to process the changes if the board approves this action. This concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
So moved.
I have a question. Mr. Chairman? Yeah, you mentioned that staff has requested this. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so we have a couple of staff who have asked for the Roth option under VOIA because they already have the VOIA plan for their 457B pre-tax dollars. And we have a couple of staff members who have requested a two-loan provision. I'm not able to provide any names due to confidentiality, but that's the request.
Okay. I'm interested in having a representative come out. I have a number of questions with respect to the change, and so I would like to defer action until we can set up either a conference call, so that I can have my questions answered by someone from the company.
If I may have them from you now, Director, and I could put in that email to the representatives, and we can provide you that information.
I'm interested in speaking directly to a representative so that I can get my questions from them, answered from them directly. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Call for the question.
Roll call.
So I'd like to make a substitute motion to...
There was a motion, I don't know if there was a second.
There was.
Sorry.
And I'd like to make a substitute motion to defer action on this item.
That requires a second. Okay, the motion is made.
I'll second it.
Mr. Chair, you have to take a vote on that substitute motion for action.
Roll call on the substitute motion.
Roll call on the substitute motion.
Director Chacon?
Yes.
Director Heldman?
No?
Director Urigi?
No.
Director Hawkins?
Yes.
Director Oscui?
No.
Director Vasquez?
Yes?
Director Camacho Rodriguez?
Yes.
President Apodaca?
No.
Motion does not pass.
Call for the question.
The original motion to approve staff's recommendation. Director Chacon?
No.
Director Heldman?
Yes.
Director Urigi?
Yes.
Director Hawkins?
Yes.
Director Oscui?
Yes.
Director Vasquez?
No?
Director Camacho Rodriguez?
No.
President Apodaca?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Directors.
Item 16 was put on at the request of a director, election of Metropolitan Water District directors and approval of resolution 09-1999, appointing directors as metropolitan representatives. As you know, we have two metropolitan directors. They're normally selected in January as part of the board reorganization. With that, I'll just open for the director's comments.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I have a question. Ordinarily, we do it in January. Why are we doing it now?
It was a request from a significant number of directors, so we put it on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, can I make a comment? Yeah.
Want the floor? Take it all.
Thank you.
Sick and tired.
Let the record reflect that Mr. Chairman called me a jerk, and that's very unprofessional and it's very inappropriate. And I'm going to request that the chairman be sanctioned for that. Thank you.
Is there a comment to motion on the item here?
Yes, and I would like to go ahead and make a comment. There remains, I remain very concerned about the inability for Director Heldman to properly represent our agency at the Metropolitan Water District. Because he's a retailer, there are a number of conflicts that arise that don't allow him to properly represent our agency. So I wanted, again, to request that we seek an opinion from the Attorney General's office with respect to whether or not it's even legal for Mr. Heldman to serve on the Metropolitan Water District. And I would like to request make a motion that we seek an opinion from the Attorney General's office, and until we receive a response, I would like I believe that Mr. Hellman should step down, and that we should be properly represented at the Metropolitan Water District by a director who can fully participate in voting on all the items on behalf of our constituents. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, this is not the first time the issue has been brought up. In fact, I think today was the second or maybe the third time potential conflict and impression of a potential conflict. It goes to the core of the piece of legislation that was instituted 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. Council, you heard the question that was raised prior to that. I'm sure we're going to look into it. But we cannot make actions based on assumptions. If there are some ambiguities in someone's mind about the legality of a piece of legislation that's already been put into action, then we cannot make the decisions based on those assumptions. We have to continue our work the way it is, and then if we are proven wrong, then we make the appropriate decision at that time. With that, Mr. Chairman, I will move to continue the term as it is in effect for the representation of the district before MWD.
Mr. Chair, if I could interrupt, you did have a first motion made by Director Vasquez to seek an Attorney General opinion. Is there a second? I think you need to request a second for that motion to see if there's a second.
Is there a second?
Yes.
Mr. Chacon, second it? Okay.
So that motion has to be addressed first.
Roll call.
Director Checo.
Could you read the motion?
The motion is to receive an opinion from the Attorney General.
To seek an opinion.
On what specifically?
Director Heldman.
Well, let's see, it should be on any retailer.
My understanding is that it would be a motion to request the Attorney General to opine on incompatibility of office and conflicts of interest relative to a director's position on this board and the Met Board.
Appointed directors?
Yes.
In general?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Director Chacon?
That was a yes.
Director Heldman?
No.
Director Origi?
No.
Director Hawkins?
Yes.
Director Oscui?
No.
Director Vasquez?
Yes?
Director Camacho Rodriguez?
Yes.
President Apodaca?
No.
Motion does not pass.
And now I think Director Sui had a subsequent motion.
Subsequent, that's correct. That's correct.
And we need a second.
Second.
Director Chacon?
Okay, so what was the second motion?
To continue the term as is with our current director sitting on the Met Board.
No.
Director Heldman?
Yes.
Director Origi?
Yes.
Director Hawkins?
No.
Director Oscui?
I'm sorry.
Director Oscui? This is to continue the term?
Yes.
Your motion.
I move.
Director Vasquez?
No?
Director Camacho Rodriguez?
No.
President Apodaca?
Yes.
Motion does not pass.
Next is item
So I'm assuming the
34.
position will be vacant until
No,
we can...
no. It doesn't change anything.
Yeah, my interpretation, Director Vasquez, would be that that was the motion to get the Attorney General opinion was, did not pass. The motion to keep the status quo did not pass. So I think it had to revert back to what you have currently with your current metropolitan representation.
Okay, thank you.
I'd to request Director Vasquez, item 34 is next. Mr. Director, this is the County of Los Angeles Department of Public Works request for proposals for the transfer of the sale of Sativa water system. And there's a brief report in there. A quick summary. Last year, the County of LA took over the Sativa water system. They're now considering the transfer sale of the physical facility, operation assets, operation liabilities, and water rights associated with Sativa water system. It has a tight schedule. The final selection will be hopefully according to this schedule, by February of 2020. Again, so if there's any requests or discussion by the directors.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
can I make a comment?
Yes, one comment.
All right. Last Saturday, I attended a community meeting. In fact, the Sativa Water District is in my division. It services the area of LA County called the Willowbrook. And to my understanding, over 15 years ago, the LAFCO approached Central Basin and requested or asked Central Basin if they were interested in taking over the responsibilities of managing the organization. And at the time, it's my understanding that the Central Basin Municipal Water District rejected the proposal. And as I have followed the many issues that are present at the agency, I came across the RFP that would give Central Basin an opportunity to potentially, to apply to be one of the agencies to provide the services to the community. I believe this is a great opportunity to generate revenue for Central Basin. I believe that we should work in collaboration with the purveyor community, just as the purveyor community is requesting that we build pipelines for them so that they can personally, so that their private corporations can make a profit. I believe likewise we have an opportunity here to actually help the community and deliver a service that's greatly needed and to maintain water affordability in the region. So my request is simple. It's to fill out, the request for proposals. Again, it doesn't mean the county is going to select us. It simply means that we're going to, our staff or our attorneys will work on filling out the proper work that's necessary so that we could consider this when the time comes.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
In order to acquire Sativa's assets, whoever the successful person is to acquire those assets would have to spend untold sums of money to bring that system up to par to meet Division of Drinking Water standards in order to give it a permit to purvey water to the public. Central Basin would have to spend that money to bring those assets up to standard. Therefore, there's not a profit involved if you have to expend money to bring it up to par. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I had a couple of questions and some comments. I believe it was said that it was 15 years ago that the district was provided the opportunity to take over the system. Are you familiar with that at all? Anyone?
Vaguely.
What was the district's, roughly, I'm just curious, what was the district's general fund balance 15 years ago roughly? How much in reserves? Much more than today, obviously. North of 30, I would say.
20 some odd million, I believe is the number.
Okay. And we have how much now in reserves? 8. Thank you. There must have been a good reason for the district 15 years ago not to do that, and there's certainly a very good reason for us not to even go in that route. We have been cutting costs as part of the cost-cutting measures. We let go of a couple of facilities and a couple of, we were acting as a
trustee.
Pardon?
Trustee.
As a trustee, and then the project in Whittier, because of cost-cutting measures, we let those two projects go for good reason and for good measure. Every single project that we have tried to consider, we have asked staff to provide a cost-benefit analysis. This one doesn't have a cost-benefit analysis. In absence of that, there is no reason for us to even look at this, not knowing what we are trying to get ourselves into. I just heard from Director Enrique there must be a good reason that they want to unload the system, and they're trying to find a buyer for it. In the meantime, General Manager Hunt, what is your, in your expert opinion, what is the estimated amount of money that has to be put in place in order to draft a proposal and submit a proposal of this magnitude?
Well, the timing is the issue.
I understand, but what is the cost?
To do the proposal, we put it in a rate like this, be about $20,000.
And have we budgeted for that?
No, sir.
With that, Mr. Chair, if there are no other questions, I move that we do not consider this submittal of a proposal at this time.
Mr. Chair, this is not an action item. This is really an information item, so there's no motion would be appropriate.
I'm sorry, that's correct.
Is that it?
Closed session. Yeah, we're going to closed session. Councilor, you want to?
Yes, we have a closed session, Mr. Chair, pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9, to discuss one item of pending litigation as described in Section 13. And we also have the comments pursuant to Section 54957 as described in item 8.
May I make a comment before we go into closed session? So one of the questions that I was asked by one of my constituents is that this item about the lawsuit, so the purveyors are suing us. And I'm not going to talk about the detail. All I'm simply is making mention of the act that we sit with purveyors on our board who will be going into closed session to discuss the lawsuit from their constituents, which are the purveyors that are suing us. So I just need to make a statement of fact to our constituents, at least for the individuals that asked me, doesn't that seem a little bit awkward or odd that the purveyors on our board would agree to a rate increase, and it was voted on, and then their constituents, who are the purveyors, chose to contest that, and now they want to sue us. So I'm just making statements of facts that my constituents asked me and made comment to. Okay, so that's it. Just my two.
Yeah, and let the record reflect that I will not be participating in closed session because, as was mentioned, these purveyors, and I'm not going to participate in protest of the fact that the purveyors who are elected to this board by the very individuals that have filed a lawsuit against us should not be participating in the closed session discussions around these issues. So let the record reflect that I will be I won't be participating. Thank you.
I will also not be participating in this closed session meeting.
The board has come out from closed session, and during the closed session, the board lost a quorum, so I still have to report out under the Brown Act, under the Brown Act closed session report, that we met pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 to discuss Signal Hill versus Central Basin. No action was taken. The board also met pursuant to 54957 to discuss personnel. No action was taken on that matter. And at this point, given that the board has lost a quorum, the meeting is terminated.